because what's happening now more so than before is indie studios are skyrocketing. There are amazing games coming out. And what's happening in the industry right now is everybody's noticing that these good games are coming out and they don't have massive studios. They don't have massive budgets. And they're realizing, hey, you don't need much to make a good game.
Welcome everyone to another episode of GameLogic Behind the Games. I'm absolutely delighted to welcome Eva Tucker onto the pod today. How are you, Eva?
I am doing well. How about yourself?
I'm all right, thank you. It's not quite as cold over here in London as it is in Maryland, I believe. You've got some snow over there, right?
Yeah, we had about 3 to 4 inches of snow where I'm at.
We've not got that yet, but who knows in England? Anything could happen with the weather. It could be tropical sunshine next week. We never know. I never actually intended to start off talking about the weather, but it just so happens every pod seems to start with a little bit of a conversation about the weather. So I think I'll carry on that theme. Anyway, on to more important business, Eva. If you don't mind, we would love to hear about your journey. So over to you. Tell us about where you're at now, how you've got there, some of the route that you've taken to be where you are now.
Well, I will try to summarize it. I have been interested in the game industry since I was a kid. Since about 5 years old, I got into my first game console with my dad. From there, I tried to follow the art industry because I love to draw, I love to create. However, once I made it through high school, I realized that that's not really a career path that I would like to pursue. In college, I went into game development and realized that there was a lot more to building a game than what I initially thought. When I was in college, I was able to be in charge of teams. I was the president of their honor society, which got me a little experience into the upper management. And so that's kind of what directed me towards getting into project management and production side of video games. And today, I am a producer on contract right now with a small indie studio. I am a community manager for a new video game community app that is coming out. And I've just been showcasing the knowledge that I have on LinkedIn and other platforms to help others.
Which is how we've come to be in contact, right? Which is awesome. Now, Eva, one of the things I really want to try and help with on this pod is I'd love to, especially for people outside the industry, I'd love for them to get a better idea of some of the things that happen in the industry, hence the name Behind the Game. So do you mind telling us a little bit more about your role as a community manager, what that entails, and some of the things you might do on a day-to-day basis?
All right. As a community manager with Flow Lobby, since it's in the video game industry, I am in charge of the team, the social media team. I am in charge of the rest of the community management team. We mainly operate within Discord right now since the app is in development. But once that's done, we're going to expand on that. Right now, we have a multitude of tasks that we do day to day, even right now as a volunteer because it's startup. But we use Jira to track everything. We use Slack to communicate. And basically, it's all about setting the priorities and getting the right people to do the job at the right time. And it's been extremely helpful, especially since I did community management more of like a hobby of mine since I got out of high school. So I would say I have about 12 years of experience at it. So I love communities, and being able to help grow Flow Lobby was very beneficial to me and to the actual company.
Yeah, brilliant. And I'm wondering actually, because again, one of the reasons that I've reached out to you, even because you're quite prominent on LinkedIn, which is fantastic, and especially around the topics of layoffs, and you put out some fantastic content, by the way, which I'm really appreciative of, as I'm sure lots of people in the industry are. But I'm wondering if that background in community management is kind of part of what you're doing there, actually. And actually, that's almost like community management outside of your official role, right? It kind of seems like that.
It's interesting though, because me personally, I try to embody building a community. So it can appear as community management wherever I go, but ultimately I just want to build a uplifting community that tries to help each other. And that's kind of what I do on LinkedIn. I try to stay away from controversial topics. I try to inform people of the negatives of the industry as well as the positives, because you need to be able to see both sides of that.
Yeah, it's important. And I think one of the reasons I really like the content you put on LinkedIn is that actually, we're all aware of what some of the problems in the industry are, but you're actually trying to provide some solutions here, which, there's a lot of conversation around some of the negative things that are going on in the industry, but you're one of the very few people, I believe, that's actually trying to make a difference by providing some solutions there. And I guess I'd like to just say thanks on camera for that. It's really, really valuable to me and lots of others, I'm sure.
Yeah, thank you. I try. I try to go by the whole motto that even just one small step is better than no step at all. So,
yeah, definitely.
Even if it's just a list of resources, it's better than just talking about the negatives, because talking about it but not putting any action behind it, you're not going to get any solutions.
Yeah, absolutely. And it's unfortunately topical again, as we're recording right now. The news has come out today that Riot have unfortunately laid off 530 people, which I think was about 11% of their workforce. And I think we all hope that 2023 would see the end of these layoffs in the industry, but 2024 unfortunately has started as 2023 continued, as 2023 finished rather. What are your thoughts on the state of the industry, Eva? Why is this happening, and how much longer is this going to happen for?
I try to think of the industry as kind of like a phoenix. Okay, so it's reached the end of this kind of generation has reached the end of its time frame. So what it's doing is it's killing off the excess. All these companies, these big companies, they've gotten too big to the point where they're not being able to financially provide. And some can, some don't. But the big thing is that a lot of the companies are, whether they're public companies or not, they have a lot of shareholders and a bunch of other people they have to answer to. And ultimately it comes down to they want more money. And the best way to do that is to get rid of all the people that are costing the company. Now, on the other side of the coin, it is opening up opportunities for these already experienced people. Mostly it's seniors that I'm noticing that are also being laid off. That gives them an opportunity to encroach on the path of opening their own studio. So what's happening now, more so than before, is indie studios are skyrocketing. There are amazing games coming out. And what's happening in the industry right now is everybody's noticing that these good games are coming out and they don't have massive studios. They don't have massive budgets. And they're realizing, hey, you don't need much to make a good game. And these layoffs, they're negative. They hurt a lot of people, and they put a lot of people possibly out of living arrangements. And it's saddening, but all of us have to lift each other up. And I just see a positive for the indie side, but a negative for AAA, because I kind of think AAA is going to find its way out the door because it's not financially feasible anymore. We can't be spending millions of dollars in a budget just to get very little profit, because you have a lot of the market you have to hit, and pricing on games are expensive now.
Absolutely, and I totally agree with what you say. It's certainly the way I see the industry going this year, and I think it already started last year, to be honest. Even if I just look at the clients that we would work with in our portfolio, typically there's a greater migration towards smaller, more nimble indie studios, and that trend is going to continue for the reasons that you mentioned, I believe. And I think what's also worth mentioning, Eva, one thing that I'm really, I'm always really, really pleased to see and hear from people is the good news stories, right? Because the media has an unfortunate habit of only posting about all the negative things happening in our industry, but there's very few headlines around indie studios popping up and good news stories. I could go on LinkedIn today and say that actually what I'm seeing is the opposite to what some of the media are portraying. Like hiring is increasing. Like this time last year, we had fewer roles. We had fewer clients that were hiring fewer people. That's a fact. But that's not in the news because that doesn't sell papers or that doesn't sell clicks, right? It's just the negative stuff.
Yeah, so it's negativity draws a crowd. People are attracted to negativity for some reason. And it's not a news headline. I mean, people are less likely to look at something super positive. But whenever I see a layoff, yeah, it's sad, but at the same time, I treat it as an opportunity for, people to either continue to grow or open up a new company. And as I was going through my own resources, I'm noticing a lot of really, really promising games coming out from these new studios. And it gives people that maybe were in the shadows of these big companies the chance to shine.
Yeah, brilliant. I've got a couple of questions left for you, Eve. I hope that's all right. Someone that's already in the industry, I'd love to know if you've got any advice either to job seekers right now or people that are looking to break into the industry. Because again, if I what I'm trying to get out of this, if I can help one person with some advice that one of my guests has given, then I think that's a really, really good win. So have you got any advice to people, A, trying to break into the industry, or B, that are currently out of work and a victim of layoffs?
Well, there are a multitude of ways to get into the industry, but not all of them are a clear shot. One of them that gets overlooked very often is to make sure your resume is up to date. If you are in a creative role, make sure your portfolio is up to date. Both things are living documents. They should embody you as a brand. So that way, when you show them to someone, it represents you. You're not gonna want to showcase someone something that is half done, and people will not hire you if something's half done. They're going to be like, well, this is the quality you're going to provide us, so this is something that we don't want. So the three things that I would advise for people right now, especially some that are coming out of college, is to do game jams. Those are tests of your knowledge, which is super important, and they get you very quick products that you can that can be a representative of your skill. The second is to make sure your resume is up to date, even if you don't have work experience. Having projects put in place, whether you were paid for them or whether they're hobby-based projects, they mean the same either way. And a portfolio that lists your best work. Anything that is less than your best work should not be provided because you need your best work to sell.
It's some brilliant advice there. Thank you. And I really hope that it helps some people get back on their feet. Last question I've got for you, Eva, the big one, the most important one. What are you most looking forward to playing this year?
There is a multitude of games. I mean, I don't have one in particular.
See, I only asked this question because I want to build my library up. So every guest I get, I'm like, right, okay, I'll have a look at that, I'll have a look at that. It's an excuse to get some more games.
There are a few, like a Dragon, Infinite Wealth. I love the IP and everything. Coming out in February 2nd is Persona 3 Reloaded. That is a rehash of the original Persona 3 that came out, I think, right around the PSP time. It is getting a personification. So it is getting a Persona 5 update to it. So it's going to look completely new quality. And then there was one that came out from this indie studio by Unseen from Tokyo. I just came across it yesterday. It's called Kamuri, and it is pretty interesting. Kamuri is Kemuri, and it looks very promising.
Brilliant. I'll I'll have a look at it. Always interested to check out stuff I've never heard of or played before. So that's brilliant. Eva, thank you so much for coming on today. I really, really appreciate it, especially as, you know, we haven't really met properly at all. You know, I've sent a cheeky message because I've seen so much activity out there, but I do genuinely appreciate everything you're doing on LinkedIn. And I appreciate you spending some time with me today. So thank you very much.
Well, thank you. You know, I got to say thank you to you, because what you're doing means a lot for a lot of people.
I hope we can both together help give some positive news in the industry and help some people get back on their feet.
I definitely agree.